Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use Anaconda and create a new virtual environment to hold all of our packages and everything. And we do conda create, and we're going to call it Watson VR. It's Python 3, and that's going to install a few sort of basic things that we know that we're going to need. And then we're going to go into the repository that we've cloned. We're going to activate that virtual environment using source activate, and then we are going to use pip and install everything from the requirements.txt. Now that is going to take a while, so we're just going to skip through that. After we're done, then we're going to export our API key and then start the Jupyter Notebook service where we've exported that. Now we've got Jupyter open, and we're going to load up the notebook. We're going to start executing. The beginning is all just imports, and we're going to set the API key from the environment, and then we're going to execute some of this helper code, which I'm not going to really cover. We're going to set a temporary directory, and now we get into what's really going on here. So we're going to use scikit-learn to automatically split up the number of files that we have into a test and a train data set for our classes. And in this case, we're going to have golden retrievers, beagles, and everything not golden retrievers and beagles. And then we're going to instantiate our visual recognition class, and we're going to list classifiers. I've got a lot in mind. You may not have as many as me. And then we're going to train. We're going to take those zip files that we created earlier, and we're going to submit it to the classifier. And that's going to return a classifier ID to us in a JSON package. The thing about that is, for a while, you can see that it's going to be training. So we're going to re-execute that a few times, and we're going to wait until it turns into ready. And then when it's ready, we can actually classify things to it. Now this will take, it can take a few minutes sometimes. It depends on how many images you have and how many, a lot of other things. So now that we see that it's ready, we're going to move on to how we actually test. Now we take the test data set that we created earlier, and we're going to submit that to the visual recognition system. One thing I want to point out is I'm putting a threshold on here. That's so that the graphs later look a little nicer. The threshold you can read about in the documentation, and I highly recommend that you do that. We're going to run through that. This can take a long time. It depends on how many images you have. In this case, it takes slightly less than a minute. And then I'm also showing in this notebook how to display one of the images and classify a single image so you can see what's going on. Now the classifiers that we're using here is both the one that we created and the default classifier, which gives us a lot more information. We can use that information to further make decisions about what is or is not in that image. Now that we have all this information, we've classified all of our test images, we're going to go ahead and flatten it out, and then we're going to plot it. And you can see from this plot that Beagle shows up pretty well. There are also a few other classes from the default classifier. So we can tell that this classifier that we've classified is pretty representative of the data that we have, and it looks pretty good. Now later, if we want to retrain it, you can do that using the retraining functionality, which I show here. And in this case, I'm just going to take the test data and I'm going to retrain it because I'm basically done with it and I just want to throw it into the thing. And that's it, really. Good luck.